You try to connect, but something is missing. You nod, you smile, you say the right words, yet feel like a ghost among humans. That emptiness when you're surrounded by people. That's not about being antisocial. It's a sign you're running from the vulnerability empathy demands. Empathy isn't just about understanding others. It's a fearless dive into your own darkness, a willingness to feel what you'd rather ignore. But no one taught you this. No one said that to truly connect, you must first confront the parts of yourself you've hidden away. Carl Jung knew about this hidden journey inside us all. He spent a lifetime exploring the human psyche, uncovering truths about our deepest fears and desires. He understood that empathy isn't just a skill. It's a path to self-discovery. Because here's the truth. The reason you feel disconnected isn't because you don't care. It's because you haven't dared to open your heart fully. You spend your life building walls, believing they'll protect you. But those walls don't just keep out pain. They block the very empathy you seek to give and receive. So let me ask you something terrifying. If you stripped away those defenses, if you let yourself be truly seen, what would happen to your relationships? Most people fear this question. They hide behind a persona of compassion, offering sympathy but withholding true empathy because it feels too raw, too close. And therein lies the barrier. The more you run from your own vulnerability, the more distant you become from others. You create a fortress of self-preservation, mistaking it for strength. But strength without empathy is isolation. Jung never shied away from vulnerability. He embraced it as the doorway to understanding others, because in vulnerability lies the potential for real empathy, the kind that connects souls, not just minds. Yet society tells us to be strong, to conceal our emotions, to remain composed. We are taught that vulnerability is weakness, that empathy is optional, that understanding another's pain isn't essential. And so we pretend to connect while maintaining a safe distance. True empathy requires dismantling those defenses and daring to be open. It's about finding the courage to let others in, to make space for their experiences within your own heart. Because when you learn to be vulnerable, you stop fearing the emotions of others. You no longer turn away from their pain. You no longer listen just to respond. You no longer fear that empathy will consume you. But perhaps this is why empathy feels so elusive. Because every time you try to connect, you guard yourself against the very connection you seek. You were not born knowing how to protect your emotions. You were taught to guard them, to hide them, to avoid showing weakness. But very rarely were you taught to embrace them, to allow them to be messy and real, to use them as bridges to understanding others. That is why, when faced with real empathy, you hesitate. You don't know how to let your guard down, how to feel without judgment, how to be open without fear. Jung understood that the shadow, the part of us we hide, is what blocks empathy, that our judgment of others is often a reflection of our unacknowledged selves. And if you cannot embrace your shadow, you cannot truly connect with others. Because empathy isn't about feeling sorry for someone. It's about standing with them in their truth, as messy and painful as it may be. When we hide from our own pain, we hide from the pain of others. And when empathy becomes a performance, it loses its power. That is why relationships suffer, why connections feel hollow, why friendships fade. Not because of a lack of emotion, but because they are built on false foundations. Jung's insights shed light on this truth. To have more empathy, you must first have more self-awareness. You must be willing to look within and acknowledge your own struggles, your own fears, your own shadows. Learning to be empathetic is a journey into yourself. It is asking without judgment, what parts of myself am I unwilling to see? What emotions do I ignore? What truths about myself do I run from? And when you dare to face these questions, you discover something profound. A space within you opens up, allowing you to truly feel another's experience without losing yourself. That space is empathy, not a technique or a tool, but a way of being that arises when you are willing to be vulnerable, to be real, to be human. Because empathy is not about fixing others or taking on their pain. It is about standing beside them, offering presence and understanding without judgment. It is about seeing another person as they are, without trying to change them, without needing them to be different. In this way, empathy becomes a bridge, not a burden. It connects you to others in a way that transcends words, transcends actions, transcends the superficial. It allows you to see the world through another's eyes, to feel their experiences without losing your own center. This is the essence of Jung's teachings, that true connection comes from a place of self-awareness, from understanding your own journey as deeply as you seek to understand others. It's not about being perfect or always knowing the right thing to say. It's about being present, being open, being willing to engage with another's experience even when it's uncomfortable. And when you cultivate this kind of empathy, you transform your relationships. You create a space where both you and others can be seen and accepted for who you truly are. Carl Jung believed that empathy enriches our lives, deepens our connections, and brings us closer to the truth of our shared humanity. But to reach that point, you must confront the fears that keep you from opening your heart. You must be willing to feel your own pain, to acknowledge your own fears, to understand your own struggles, because only when you can sit with your own discomfort can you truly sit with someone else's. Empathy is not about losing yourself in another's story. It is about meeting them where they are, with all their complexity, all their contradictions, and all their beauty. It is about holding space for their truth while remaining grounded in your own. So how do you start this journey toward deeper empathy? Begin by listening, not just to others, but to yourself. Notice the judgments that arise, the fears that surface, the defenses that activate. Ask yourself, what am I protecting? What am I afraid to feel? What parts of myself have I disowned? And as you explore these questions, allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow yourself to be real, allow yourself to be human. Empathy is not about being unbreakable. It is about being willing to break open, to let light into the places you've kept locked away. It's about understanding that being human means experiencing a range of emotions, and that each of these emotions connects you to others in unexpected ways. Perhaps one of the most important steps is to practice self-compassion, to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you wish to offer others. Because empathy begins with you. It begins with understanding your own needs, your own boundaries, your own limits. And when you honor yourself, when you treat yourself with love and respect, you create a solid foundation for extending empathy to others. Jung taught that the path to empathy is filled with challenges, obstacles, and moments of doubt. But it is also filled with opportunities for growth, transformation, and healing. And as you walk this path, you learn to see others not as strangers, but as fellow travelers on the same journey, each with their own struggles, each with their own stories. Empathy is not a destination, but a way of being. It is a practice that deepens over time, a commitment to openness, connection, and understanding. It asks you to be brave, to step into discomfort, to embrace the unknown. But in doing so, it offers you the chance to create relationships that are rich, meaningful, and fulfilling. It allows you to build bridges instead of walls, to offer support instead of judgment, to connect instead of isolate. And in this way, empathy becomes not just a gift you give to others, but a gift you give to yourself. Because when you open your heart to others, you also open your heart to the world, to all the beauty, complexity, and possibility it holds. Empathy is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming more of who you are. It's about recognizing that you are capable of deep connection, profound understanding, and genuine compassion. And that by embracing these qualities, you can transform your life and the lives of those around you. Carl Jung believed in the power of empathy to heal, to unite, and to bring us closer to our true selves. And as you embark on this journey of empathy, remember that you are not alone. You are part of a larger human experience, one that is rich with the potential for connection, growth, and transformation. So take the first step. Open your heart, embrace your vulnerability, and let empathy guide you to a life of deeper meaning and connection. Thank you for staying until the end. If this message resonated with you, join our community by subscribing and share your thoughts in the comments. What is your biggest challenge in truly connecting with others? Your insight could be the key to helping someone else on their journey.